Southern Africa Mini Lecture by Brooklyn Rodrigues.
Braden and Raul.
South Africa is bordered by the Atlantic and Indian Oceans and lies between 35 to 20 degrees south and 35 to 15 degrees east. The nations that make up South Africa are Namibia and its capital Windhoek, Gaborone, Botswana, Lobamba and Mbabane, Swaziland, Maseru, Lesotho, Port Louis, Mauritius, Moroni, Comoros, and Victoria, Seychelles. There are two major rivers that flow through South Africa. There is the Orange River that flows from Lesotho through Namibia to the Atlantic Ocean. The other river is the Vaal River that flows through the Drakensberg Mountains to the Orange River. The Drakensberg Mountains, meaning Dragon Mountains, are the tallest mountains in South Africa and are located in KwaZulu-Natal. There are three major lakes in the region. The first lake is Lake Sibaya, which is the freshwater lake located in the KwaZulu-Natal province near the Maputoland coastal plain on the east coast. The second lake is Lake Barbara-Span, located in Delareyville, which is the Swazeng local municipality. The third lake is Lake Chrissimere and located in the Mpumalanga in the Moxwaleng local municipality. South Africa has a Mediterranean climate, meaning that the summers are hot and dry and the winters are mild and wet. South Africa is the world's largest producer of gold, chrome ore, and diamonds, and has the largest reserves of platinum group metals and manganese ore. South Africa produces coal, which provides around 80% of South Africa's energy needs and has moderate quantities of natural gas in the southern coast. South Africans produce grains, sugarcane, potatoes, fruits, and vegetables and are home to the continent's largest agricultural lands. Grains are the country's biggest crop and include barley, maize, oats, sorghum, and wheat.
Populations of nations of South Africa. As seen, there are many nations within South Africa. These nations can range from developed urban sprawls to lesser developed savanna nations with sparsely populated villages, often resembling tribal villages of decades past. Populations of nations of South Africa. South Africa nation within the South African region is the nation of South Africa itself. Major cities: Johannesburg, Cape Town, and Durban. Population of 63,210,000 people. There are many ethnic groups within this nation. Black Africans, 81%, mixed ancestry, 9%, white, 7.5%, Indian and Asians make up 2.5%. Populations of nations of South Africa. Namibia is the second most populated country within this region. Major cities: Windhoek, Sawamon, and Walvis Bay, home to 3,069,739 people. There are many ethnic groups in Namibia. The Ovambo, 50%. The Kavango, 9%. Hero and Himbi, 7%. The Dharma, 7%. Nama, 5%. Lozi, 4%. San or Bushman, 3%. Mixed ancestry, 6%. And white Namibians, 6%. Populations of nations of South Africa. Botswana is home to 2,546,200 people, making it the third most populous nation. Major cities: Gaborone, Francistown, and Molepole. There are many ethnic groups in Botswana. The Soso Taswana, 75.5%. The Shona, 12.4%. San, 3.4%. The Koliko, 2.5%, the Mbele, 1.3%, and other groups, 4.9%. Lesotho is the fourth most populated nation within this region, with a population of 2,210,646 people. Major cities include Mearsu, Tayeshayang, and Mohale-Hoek. Rather unique aspect of Lesotho is that the nation is almost entirely comprised of the Bathaso people, making up 99.7% of the total nation's population. The remaining 0.3% of people are other ethnic groups such as European settlers, in addition to Zulu and Xhosa people. The fifth most populated nation within the region is known as Eswatini. Formerly, however, it was known as Swaziland in the nation's recent past. Eswatini is home to 1,231,000 people. Major cities include Mumbai, Manzini, and Lobamba. The nation's geographics are Swazi 84.3%, Zulu 9.9%, Tsonga 2.5%, and other ethnic groups 1.3%. Civilizations and history of Southern Africa. Early human history within the region. Southern Africa is home to some of the earliest evidence of humans in existence within the world. With fossil evidence dating back millions of years, notable tribal people existed within this region of the continent are Koliho people, pictured to the top left, and the San or Bushman people, pictured to the top right. Within this era of Southern Africa, there were no established settlements. The tribes who lived in this region were known to be nomadic groups, often following waterways, and most notably, the herds of animals that these tribes would use as a food source. There existed no form of agriculture within this era of African civilization. The Iron Age of Southern Africa. During the Southern Africa's Iron Age, 200 CE to 1500 CE, Bantu-speaking people began to migrate from Western Africa to southern region of the continent, bringing with them their knowledge of the Iron Age, farming, and their tools. As time progressed, this knowledge began to be disseminated throughout local tribes, directly leading to more prominent settlements being established, with small farming communities being built with adobe huts being constructed. Age of colonialism. The Portuguese were the first explorers to reach southern Africa around the late 15th century, as they attempted to find a way to reach India from the sea. Those explorers established trading posts all along the coastline of the continent's southern region. During the late 1800s, the nations of Europe gathered for the Berlin Conference, during which they divided up the regions of Africa. This indirectly led to the age of imperialism within the region, which became known as the Scramble for Africa. This time of Southern Africa's history is marked with violence, abuse of the indigenous peoples within this region. Civilizations and history of Southern Africa. Modern history. During the recent modern history of the continent, from early 20th century till today, many nations who were previously under European rule have begun to gain their independence, sometimes through violence, sometimes through diplomacy. More often than not, the nations of this region have become more and more modernized throughout the previous half century. Major languages and religions. Within the region known as Southern Africa, there are 5 notable languages which are utilized, many of which are tribal languages from individual communities. Zulu. Zulu is a Bantu language. It is spoken by around 12 million people within the region, spoken in the nation of South Africa and Eswatini in particular. Xhosa. Xhosa is another major Bantu language with over 8 million speakers. It is a primary language of Eastern and Western Capes of South Africa, also spoken by communities in Leso and Eswatini. Shona, with over 10 million speakers. Shona is one of the most used languages in Southern Africa region, spoken in Zimbabwe and parts of Mozambique, not to forget border areas in Botswana. Afrikaans. Afrikaans is a language derived from Dutch-speaking settlers who moved to Africa due to European imperialism. As such, it is a fusion of Dutch and local African tribal languages. Portuguese. Portuguese is The official language of a few nations within Southern African region, Portuguese is spoken due to the long history of Portuguese settlers within the region, such as traders and merchants. Major languages and religions. Now for the religions. Number one is Christianity, by far the most populous religion in Southern Africa and the entire continent at large. Christianity within Africa can trace its spread all the way back since before Christianity was even in Europe. The spread of the faith was aided by European missionaries during the colonial period of African history. Must be stated that Christianity within Africa had been spread by churches organic to the continent itself. 2. Indigenous African religions. The second most populated belief system within Southern Africa is indigenous religions. These faiths revolve around worshiping one's own ancestors, animism, the belief that natural objects, animals, and natural phenomena are controlled by spirits. Now, each specific spiritual belief fluctuates when it comes to individual communities.
Cultural aspects of Southern Africa. Cultural practices. South Africa is known as the Rainbow Nation due to its multicultural society. It has 11 official languages and diverse ethnic groups, including the Zulu, Xhosa, Afrikaans, and Indian communities. In the upper corner, the flag with hands over it represents the diversity in South Africa. Namibia. The Himba people use red ochre body paint and have intricate hairstyles, as shown in the picture below. The Himba women cover their skin with paste of butterfat and ochre. This cleans their skin over long periods and also protects them from mosquito bites. They also use it to act like a sunscreen to protect them from the extreme heat. Botswana. The Setswana people celebrate cultural festivals with music and dance. An example of this is the traditional dance Setapa, which is a popular cultural dance. Setapa is a dance that celebrates the harvest season, and it is characterized by tapping footwork and expressions of joy. Here's a clip of this dance. Political structures and issues. South Africa, a constitutional democracy with corruption and land redistribution debates. On the far right, we can see the corruption percentage index in South Africa. Its score is 41 out of 100. A lower score means corruption is perceived as worse, indicating decline trust in government institutions. Namibia, a democratic republic, recently elected its first female president. A picture of her is shown on the bottom left corner. Botswana, a democracy that recently saw a major political shift in 2024. Economic development and issues. South Africa, a mixed economy with industrial length but high unemployment. South Africa is the world's largest producer of platinum group metals, gold, and chromium. It is the leading supplier of minerals and mineral products to many countries. The main exports include gold, diamonds, coal, and platinum group elements. Namibia is an upper middle income country but struggles with income inequality. Namibia faces severe income inequality, making economic prosperity unevenly shared. Although it is seen to be an upper middle income country, it is classified as by the World Bank, meaning it has a relatively high per capita income compared to low income and lower middle income nations. Botswana, historically relying on diamond mining, Botswana's economy has been impacted by global market fluctuations. The administration aims to diversify the economy and mend relations with the key industry players like De Beers. The partnership between Botswana and De Beers has been a key driver of economic growth, helping Botswana become an upper middle income country with good infrastructure, stable governance, and low debt. Social issues in Southern Africa. South Africa, high crime rates, education, and healthcare disparities are main problem. Namibia, high unemployment, land reform debates, and public health concerns are main problem. Botswana, indigenous rights issues and ongoing battles against HIV and AIDS. The image on the bottom left shows a measurement of the progress towards an AIDS for Botswana. 45.1% of people with HIV were aware of their status, but didn't do nothing. 98% of those were aware on art. and 97.9 of those on R achieved viral suppression.